What's going on, everyone? It's your boy Greg Hush Williams. Welcome to another episode of the PHIner Life Show. Now, listen, if you a devil dog, I got one for you. I know he looks pretty and he looks glistening. Mario, I gotta say that shine, man, that soul, like I gotta say, it's immaculate. It's immaculate, you know. Um, Mario Fields, what can I say about this guy? All right, 26 years in the Marine Corps, you know. Sergeant Major retired, Sergeant Major, so gotta put some respect. All right. Um, Also you transitioned real quickly to the USO. Then you got into still serving incorporated, which I love because you're all about the youth. You're all about, trying to help the youth and the under served youth, you know. So we're gonna talk about that. But let's give it up. Podcast host, Unarmored Talk. Like, dude, you're all over the place. You are like, yeah, you are the guy.
Now, I don't know about that, Greg, but first of all, thank you for the awesome, introduction. I feel like I'm in a basketball team or something. Maybe I'm their point guard, even though I ain't tall enough. But no, I appreciate the introduction. Thank you for having me on your show, and let's have some fun.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Cause we were talking about stars align, and I mean your show Unarmored Talk doing big numbers, doing big things. I was scrolling through today, and you have like little other things that are part of the show, but still, on brand. And you were like today, you were talking about people don't really hone in or know the difference between a mentor, a coach, and a sponsor. And I was just like, gosh, man, if I could just come up with stuff like that. But anyway, let's get into it. All right, because you a devil dog, Semper Fi. You what first of all, what made you want to join the Marine Corps? What
You
what
know,
what
Greg,
what
yeah,
compelled you?
yeah, it's funny well, first of all, thanks for your service, man, and ladies and gentlemen, everyone, if you guys haven't subscribed, to the channel, to their YouTube channel, you better get on there and hit that subscribe button. We got to get them to 1,000, right? Greg is doing this for charity. It's all charity. Let's get on there, support someone who has a charitable heart. So you know that, hey, but you know what? So you ready for this one? Are you ready for this one? It was my older brother. He's 17 months older than I am, and I like to party, man. I mean, I was the class clown in high school. I was the homecoming king. I got voted for best personality. I was just a clown, and I knew if I went to college, man, I was gonna waste my mom and dad money. So I was like, I don't want to do that. So let me get a little discipline. So my brother joined the Navy out of nowhere. He comes back home from boot camp. Man, this dude is ripped. Man, dude is ripped. He's all mature. I'm like, like, dang, dude, what happened? He's like, I'm in the service now. I'm like, man, he's like, you want to go run a mile and a half? I'm like, I can't even run a half a mile. And he was just a stud. I mean, didn't depend on mom and dad. So I said, I don't want to be just like my brother because we're so close in age. I said, I'm going to join the Marines, a little harder, that way I can outshine my older brother and get some discipline and then go to college. But that's exactly what happened.
Listen, I you can't get no crazier than that. You just like, listen, I'm gonna get just a little bit better, a little bit stronger, and you sure picked it. It's so funny when you have to ask people like, how did you get into the service? And everybody's story to the service is just so unique. So, I mean, you served 26 years. We can't cover 26 years of service in one show. But let's just get through, boot camp, school, and career highlights real quick. Just let it rip, man.
I mean, boot camp, I was depressed the first week. I thought and I was a prior drill instructor, right? So even as a drill instructor, I kind of had an idea what the recruits were going to. But that first week, I felt like I had screwed up. And they were like, "How tall are you?" Sir, this recruit is 5'4", sir. Bull crap. You're 6'10". Everywhere I went, man, I was a different height. It was hot. I'm from Michigan. I'm not used to that South Carolina heat, especially Paris Island. So boot camp for me, the first couple of weeks, I was like, man, I done screwed up. God, I screwed up. But then I said, okay, there's a difference between boys, right? A boy and a man. And I said, men, they make decisions and they make the best out of them. Boys, my belief, will run away from when they get uncomfortable, they'll run away from it. And I said, all right, Mario, right. I had to self-reflect. I said, which one are you? You a boy or you a man? And I said, I'm a man. Well, you chose to come down here. Well, let's get it. And I just turned my whole thought process and everything. And I actually graduated #1, man. I was the honor grad out of boot camp. I was a meritorious E3. I was a meritorious Lance Corporal out of boot camp.
Oh, you get out of boot camp. What was your MOS? What were some
so
of your
back
first?
then?
Yeah.
So back then it's called a unit diary clerk. That's administrator. So when I got to boot camp, I went to Camp Johnson, North Carolina. By the way, give it up for the Montford Point Marines, the first African-American boot camp where African-Americans went to boot camp before they integrated in the Marine Corps. But I went to Camp Johnson, graduated my admin school, got stationed in, my first duty station. And then, ended up getting married, been married for 28 years, Greg. Got married in Florida. My wife's a Navy veteran and fell in love, got married, had 2 kids. And then the 26 years, really, it was each enlistment was a decision and a thought process depending on what was going on at that time. So it wasn't that I always wanted to do, remember, I only wanted to do 4 years. But things change, life happens. And so each re-enlistment was a family decision. And even when I transitioned out at 26, that also was a family decision. But yeah, so that's kind of, the quick roll up on how did it start? What kind of, where did I go to school? And then what's the, what's the thought process and how did I end up doing 26?
So I have to ask you this because, you definitely the Marines, drill instructor and everything. What if you could highlight one experience, what experience throughout your whole entire military career changed your outlook on life? If you had one.
Yeah, if I had to highlight an experience, I would say when I was a junior Marine, because I was in a position to learn how to follow. I was in a position where I could see leadership behaviors that were effective, ineffective, detrimental to the advancement of people. I could see it all because I was a follower. And I believe in order to be an effective leader, you got to be a better follower. In order to be a follower, you got to be following. And so my experience of being at, the most junior Marine, being exposed to so many different styles of leadership and personalities and belief systems, because Greg, that belief system drives that behavior of a human, and then being open-minded where I can go, okay, if I get to that rank, these are some things that I'm going to implement in my style. Those are some things I'm not, and I'm gonna continue to work on and understand that every single second of the day, you got to just, work on knowing yourself and seeking self-improvement. Because leading people is complex and it changes every single day.
So what was what was one piece of advice that really helped you, achieve everything that you wanted to within your career? Because I'm a firm believer that, you need that mentorship. You need that NCO or that officer, to give you those tips, to give you those golden nuggets. What was that one piece of advice that you heeded and it allowed you to progress in your career the way that you wanted to?
A great question, Greg. I mean, there's a lot of from 18 to, but if I had to pick one today, I would say the advice that I got was make sure you treat people with fairness. They didn't tell me to treat them right because everybody has a different definition of what right is, right? But they said, Mario, no matter what rank you have, no matter who you're around, no matter what you're doing, you treat people fairly. Treat people fairly. Treat them fair. Be honest. Be authentic. And you know who actually gave me that advice? My mother. It was my mother who gave me that advice when I was, became a teenager. She said, she said, Mari, a lot of my customers are cancer patients. Because my mom she was a beautician, and she worked at the local mall in hats and wigs. So a lot of her customers were cancer patients. And she said, Mario, it didn't matter if they were bald. It did not matter, what kind of clothes they had on. I always treated everybody with respect. I treated them fairly, and I never judged them. She goes, some of my richest customers you would think is homeless based off of their clothes. She says, always treat people with respect, treat them fairly, no matter how they treat you.
So, throughout your whole entire career, most funniest moment that you just really, I had a couple of moments myself, when you have that one moment that you can laugh about now, but you weren't laughing back then.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this. And my brand is Unarmored. So you get some juicy stuff. I'm giving it to you. Probably one of the funniest moments that there's a lot of people who don't know about this. When I was a recruit, man, I had to use the number 2 real bad, and we were in the field, and it was like 3:34 in the morning, and the drill instructors was like, y'all got like 6 seconds to get in there and use the bathroom, and I couldn't see nothing. And before I can even open the door to the porta-john, he just said, you got 3 seconds. So I just pulled down my camis. I thought I aimed right, and I missed. And I cleaned up, washed my hands with the little stuff, and I ran back out to the tree line. It was dark, and I just remember the drill instructor had a flashlight because he wanted to make sure there were no recruits left in the porta-johns. And he goes, holy, and I won't say it on this show. He goes, who in the hell missed? And I didn't say a word. He said, whoever did it, when I find you, I'm gonna get you. And I sat there, old little recruit feels like, and yeah, to this day, hopefully he don't watch the show, but to this day,
he's gonna be like, that was the one that missed. That's him.
Greg, I'm telling you, even at graduation in 1993, right before we left, we were Marines. He was like, I'm still gonna find which one of y'all. I'm like, that was 2 months ago. He's like, I'm still gonna find which one of y'all missed. I was like, sure, yes, sir. He was like, was it you, Fields? I said, no, sir.
So, I love giving tips to people. We have a lot of veterans that watch the show, and we still have service members that watch the show. And I always love it when, I have senior enlisted leaders on here. I have Master Gunnery Scott Stalker on, and Rico Player. I have a show where I have been blessed to have leaders come on here and give some good career advice, So 3 tips for service members, what you learned throughout your career, 3 tips that can hopefully help them get to the next level,
Yeah, no, thanks, Greg. And you mentioned Rico Player. Matter of fact, Rico is on my next podcast episode that's being released. And he's the 75th episode, because that's an achievement, on Buzzsprout. So Rico Player, Colonel Rico, retired now. Rico Player is actually, I just interviewed him. So, 3 tips. Number 1, the journey in the military is defined by you. You define the journey. Like, don't look for no one to motivate you and, oh, this unit is horrible, or this is not what I expected. When I joined, I said, I don't expect nothing. Well, what I did expect is I expected myself, I could, and be the best I could be, because I made the decision. Right. So you define the journey, and that's not just in the military. That's everywhere you go. You define happiness. You can make a horrible situation one of the greatest situations that you've ever experienced. Number 2, watch how you treat people. What I mean by that is, first of all, become more self-aware of yourself. Self-reflect more than anything. I've seen a lot of people point fingers. They become judgmental in the military, as veterans on active duty or not. And it's so easy to go, oh, that's stupid. I wouldn't do that. Or if I was in that position, I would do something different. My recommendation is spend a lot more time, 80% of your mutual fund called leadership, but 80% self-reflecting, identifying things about yourself, maybe false beliefs about yourself. Maybe there's some behaviors about yourself. Get feedback from folks to say, hey, is there something I'm doing I don't even know I'm doing? But that self-reflection, I believe, if you can self-reflect and fix the person in the mirror, then you can motivate, lead, manage more effectively because you're taking care of yourself first before you try to take care of them or not. And then number three, take care of your family. And I don't mean if you're married or not. You got parents, aunts, uncles. You know, be selfish. Be selfish and take care of your family. There's come times where you go, I'm not going to go to the gym at this point. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to stay late. If I don't have to stay late, I'm not going to stay late. Go spend quality time with your family. If you got a whole bunch of leave on the books, take leave to go spend time with your family. Because one thing you can't get back, and that's time. And it's unfortunate that a lot of times what makes us stop is when somebody dies. A family member, a sibling, they die unexpectedly, then you realize you haven't spent no time with them. And so those are my three tips, Greg, that I could give the listeners and viewers tonight.
I co-sign all that. I live by all that. Sometimes you gotta be selfish. Be like, listen, did you get the slides for the stub ready? I didn't. I'm playing bingo with my babies. I give
That's
it to
right.
you next time. Now, you transitioned, and right now I want to get into what you're doing now because it's phenomenal stuff. Founder and president, Still Serving Incorporated, nonprofit. You raise funds for youth empowerment, mentorship, the whole nine. Now, what you're doing is not an easy feat, Mario. I want to ask you why. Why? Because I'm very curious. Why do you feel the need to invest in the youth so much? Because you're very passionate about it. And people, if you don't follow this man on LinkedIn, you should. But why? What is pushing you to do this, brother?
Yeah, and ladies and gentlemen, you guys can also go to www.stillservinginc.com. It's actually on the About page too. Great question. When I spent a lot of time overseas, a lot of time, and I had a chance to look at the United States from the bleachers. And I said, if we're going to affect change in a positive way, if they say the United States is the global power, the most influential country on earth, I'm like, well, to sustain that and improve that, how do you do that? Then I read the preamble of the Constitution of the United States, and there's a word in there called posterity. Posterity means doing things for the next generation, And I said, you know what? I can't change. I can't change the world. But if I get rid of the word I believe what can be done together can affect global change. And it starts with the youth. And that's where I put all my energy, effort, and focus into youth development, because when you're focusing on youth development, you can, it is proven by research, reduce behaviors that are associated with racism and socialism and sexism. You can significantly reduce those belief systems and those behaviors when you educate, create skills-based opportunities, create opportunities for the youth as they're developing. And that's why I don't focus on adults. I focus on the youth.
I have to ask, what are some of the challenges, of leading this nonprofit? Because it's not all cupcakes and sunshine. You're not just gonna just start a nonprofit and it becomes successful. A lot of times people start a nonprofit like within the first, couple of months or first year. Like, really, did you utilize a lot of what you learned in the military to get you off the ground because you had those preconditioned leadership skills? How'd you become so successful at it, brother?
Yeah, well, first of all, we all define what success looks like for. It was challenging. I mean, I didn't have experience in a nonprofit sector, and so when you say leveraging what you learn in the military, we collaborate a lot in the military. I mean, matter of fact, in the Marine Corps, we collab. That's how we win wars, is through collaboration. We call it maneuver warfare with the ground and the air, and the logistics. Well, same thing. And so what I did was I used my network and I started asking a lot of questions when in 2018 when I founded Still Serving Incorporated. And one gentleman, he said, "Have you ever read the book A Charity Case?" And I said, "No." He goes, before you start fundraising and you build your website, he goes, read Charity Case. The second book I read was Blink by Malcolm Gladwell. So I read those two books to gain a better understanding of, number one, how do Americans even feel about charity? And did you know, before I even launched Still Serving Incorporated, did you know that when they wrote that book and did research, when the author did it, Americans' approval of charities was lower than Congress? So, number two, in the book Blink, it talks about at the blink of an eye how people will judge you without judging you. And they said if you are short and you have dark skin, and this is research, he said in the book, he said at the blink of an eye, you have more of a disadvantage in business than anybody. He said because the average CEO and founder is about 6 foot, and so on and so forth. Oh yeah. So when I read those books, it helped me develop a better understanding of the environment. That's what made me, and it was challenging. It's been 5 years now, but that's what made me develop the structure where I said I want to become a self-funder. And I designed it where the YouTube channel's monetized, right? The YouTube channel generates funds, it's monetized. I'm thankful that we got over 6,000 subscribers, but it generates funds into the nonprofit. It's designed now where I don't have to go out and ask, it's like, just please donate, please donate. Now it's, hey, would you like to join me in an opportunity to make a difference? But Greg, it was because of me reading those books and gaining a better understanding. Other than that, oh my God, but it was challenging. Lots of sleepless nights, a lot of mistakes, trying to gain a better understanding of the different types of donations and how do donor relations, bylaws, your board of directors. And then the pandemic hit. So now you have reduced resources. You're a charity organization. I'm watching all these charities close down, for-profit companies closing the doors. And here I am, a startup nonprofit. And then last but not least, one of the skills, soft skills, I would like to highlight that the Marine Corps did a wonderful job at helping train me. I can only speak for me, is comfortable in crisis and looking for opportunities in moments of crisis. When a crisis comes, I get super comfortable. And when the pandemic hit, I was like, nice. Not for the deaths that it caused, but it was an opportunity. Hence, Unarmored Talk podcast and some other things, with really focusing on developing a self-funding, right? Multiple funding streams that can go into the nonprofit, which makes it sustainable. And I don't, as a founder and a president, I don't have to go, oh, guys, if you don't donate and we don't reach our goal, then I got to go to the principals and tell them, we can't do this skill-based opportunity for the seniors this year.
Wow. So now we got to talk about Unarmored Talk, because you ripping and running, man. I gotta give my hats off to you. I'm trying to get like you, big bro. So what spurred the idea of Unarmored Talk, and how cool is it for you to see it grow?
Oh, yeah. Greg, if my team, if the network that I've been blessed to have around me, would have allowed me, if I didn't reach out to them, Unarmored Talk would have had probably 6 episodes and just went away. I was running the Speakers Bureau. The pandemic hit, so there was, there was no demand for in-person speaking engagements, Greg. And that is MC, narrating, keynote, broadcasting, the facilitating. That the entire industry was pretty much shut down. And I was like, there's something else I can create within the Speakers Bureau called Global Inspirational Speakers. And I was like, I know there's something. And I was like, you know what? Podcasting. I've been doing this since I was a kid. I've always enjoyed doing, interviews and stuff. When I was like 7 years old, I used to get the little tape and hit record and be like, my name is Mario Fields. I'm your broadcaster for tonight's Detroit Pistons game. So this has always been a passion, but now I just conceptualized it. But I threw it out to my network and I said, hey, I'm thinking about a podcast called Real Talk from the Streets. And they were like, are you done? I said, yeah, I'm done. It's going to be great. They were like, MR, that's stupid. Yeah. And then I said, okay. And then one of my, mentors, he said, what's it going to be about? And it took me about a month, maybe 2 months, to get the discussion, the about statement done, where he said, hey, look, you want a podcast that you can interview any human. You want a human podcast. So when I finally got the discussion, the about statement down with Jerry Washington, I said, he don't like when I say his name, but Jerry Washington, then my other brilliant gentleman, his name is Zeke Malata. He's from Africa. Zeke goes, and I'm not even going to try to, I love his accent, but I may lose a friendship because I'll jack it up, Greg. But Zeke goes, you folks, he goes, you military folks are armored. He goes, all of us are armored. CEOs, executives, parents. A lot of us have armor. And he goes, you should have a podcast that the main requirements for the guests to remove their armor, to talk about something they normally wouldn't talk about, and how did they think through that situation to improve the outcome. They didn't react, they responded. And 4 months later, we did our first episode in October of 2020.
So now I'm like trying to, I want to transition, and I won't take up too much of your time. Working with your wife, because you are a dynamic duo as well. What is the key? Because I want to throw this out there. What is the key to working with a spouse on a project? What is the key? How does that happen? Because sometimes you be with your mate, you be like, we could be jam bae, and she don't want to act like bae, and you won't be like, it's not gonna be okay, brother. Shed some light,
If y'all want some taste, I mean, we're on Armor. Go on my Instagram, check out my Instagram reels, or on my YouTube channel. It's Sergeant Major and his wife playlist. I got a playlist on there. It's got some cool reels of really how we are. But there's some challenges. I mean, so first of all, I enjoy. I've been married to Nicole since I was 19, and so she was 20 when I was 19. And I married her on her birthday, and we grew together. So we're not just, husband and wife, but we're best friends, and it hasn't always been perfect. I mean, we're 28 years, we've been through everything, but communication is key in getting out of your emotions. There's sometimes she'll point out some things, man, that it's accurate. And I'll get all emotional about it. Like, come on, for real, babe. I mean, come on, baby. That 1 minute take was awesome. She'd be like, Mario, no. Or when we go into post production, and you know how that is, and I'll procrastinate, and so I gotta, right? It's like going to see Sergeant Major. I gotta go see the Sergeant Major.
Yeah. And Nicole, besides being a veteran and just raising a family with you and just supporting you and everything, she's also overcome her challenges as well.
Yeah.
Um, but we're gonna save that for another show. And I actually want to do a co-show with both of y'all. I really, because I tell you, you two, woo, y'all here. We're gonna put the link in there and everything. So I want to end off, real quick on a where do you go from here moment, because you are doing phenomenal things. You have your ears to the streets. You are out there. Big shout out to Andrew Appleton, Marine Parade Deck. This is how Mario and I really, really connect, and LinkedIn and other channels. And I really want to just get, where do you want to go? You know, I really want to stamp this moment, and then in a couple of years we'll listen to it back. Where do you go from here, Mario?
Believe it or not, I'm actually my daughter. She turns 28 by the time you air this show in a couple of months. And believe it or not, my wife and I were ready to be grandparents. So we are at the beginning of building a custom home near our daughter, and getting a custom built. It'll take about 2 years. So you said 2 years. And so no, we're in the beginning phases of getting our custom home, our dream home built. We already got the design, and so we can get closer to our son-in-law and our daughter, and get ready for that next phase when they have a family, and we can really spend some quality time with our grandkids, man.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And you know what? Actually, this was how I wanted to end the show. One success story that came from still serving. One success story. I want you to share one with the audience.
Yeah, I'll give you one. Our first intern, Amira Hijazi. You guys can get on the website and see her. She is amazing. She's our social media manager. She started with us as a sophomore, and now she's about to finish her senior year. She started, yeah, sophomore, her junior year. And a matter of fact, I meet with her. I meet her once a month. She does all my social media posts, all the company social media posts, and just watching her grow, being able to be a mentor, coach, and a sponsor for that young lady, and just oh my gosh, and still serving Incorporated created that opportunity with partners and other stakeholders, but to create our position for our first intern, and being able to write her letters of recommendations, sending me her resume so we can review it. I mean, I can go on and on and on, Greg, about that one success story.
Beautiful. So this is the part of the show where shameless plug everything, and just throw everything out except your personal email and phone number, because if anything goes south, Mario, you are not blaming Greg. You're not blaming Hush. No, 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 no. But website, where can people follow you? All that good stuff, brother.
Yeah, well, we're in the same ministry, so I'm speaking your language and I'm hearing your language. You ready for this one? The parade deck. Andrew Appleton, you get 2 shout outs. If you want to find everything, follow me on social media, connect to all my platforms, everything, theparadedeck.com. If you go in a search box and you search creator, Sergeant Major Mario P, you don't even have to spell it all the way out. I'm the only Sergeant Major on there. It'll come up, click follow me, connect with me, and you can go from LinkedIn, Apple Podcast audio, YouTube, all the way to Twitter.
And then after they go through, all of your stuff, and they end up still calling you, because I'm telling you, this man is sought after, and Unarmored Talk. Woo! Um, I do this every show. You already know. You know the deal, Mario. www.mbphikings2017.org. That is www.mbp5kings2017.org. You know, and we're on parade deck too. PHIner Life Show. We're all on parade deck. All on parade deck. Parade deck is going to be big, like probably its own TV cable network in like a year or two. It's going to be gigantic. It's gigantic online. It's going to make that transition. Big shout out, Angela Appleton. And I mean, Mario, you know, Sergeant Major, all the way to just successful entrepreneur, you know, and you're still helping out military families. You're still helping out young people. I mean, the journey is still going. I appreciate everything that you've done for everybody, and that you continue to do, because I still learn from you.
No, likewise, and thank you so much again for having me on this wonderful show, my friend.
All right, everybody, this is your boy Hush. To the next time, y'all. Peace.